Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of LLG's Random But Real podcast. As you all know, we've had a few changes lately where this whole season we've been speaking about relationships. And so our focus is now specifically on building, bridging, and restoring relationships. And I try to use my communication, literary, and performance art skills to do just that. And so one of the ways that that's done is here on LLG's Random But Real podcast. I'm always excited to have my co-host. One will join us a little bit later, and I just want to have everybody. Oh, Erica, you say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. You have to forgive the voice. It is allergy season, so hopefully you can hear me okay. And I'm
Yeah.
yelling at little kids all day at recess.
Oh goodness. Yeah, that part I don't miss, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But anyway, I kind of like being on the high school level for that reason. So y'all, I'm very transparent. I don't necessarily feel the greatest. I know, like I said, I'm supposed to kind of handle my situation with kid gloves, but um, I got injured at work last year in August. Well, let's start back. I had major surgery January of 2025. And then in August of 2025, I was injured at work and basically been in some form of pain every day. Um, Things have gotten a little bit better in some areas. I injured multiple areas on my left side. Um, Today I'm even wearing the brace again, which I was told to stop wearing because then your body starts to think that you're healed when you're not. I still have more physical therapy to go to. And in the process of this, it made me kind of think. I'm going to try to say this in the most delicate way possible. And I hope that Chef will be able to weigh in on this when he does join too. I went to, because most of y'all know I sing. And so sometimes as a part of that, I do music consultation. So I help you find like the songs you want for your events, weddings, birthday parties, whatever. And I also will go, all this basically for a fee, because it is my time, to the venue and see, ask the questions that a lot of people don't necessarily know. A lot of people, I think, they think that singing is just that, just singing, right? Just black and white. But it's not. There are other parts to it. Is it going to be a pianist or a keyboardist? Is it going to be a saxophonist, a guitarist, like basically somebody playing an instrument, or is it going to be by tracks? And because of the injury, there are certain things that this might be an emotional one for me today that I'm not able to do right now. I am a believer, so I do trust that God will change that. Yep, here comes the tears, y'all. But until that happens, I've had to make, go arounds. Not I'm getting to the point, Erica, I promise you. Not sleeping like I should, you know, not getting enough rest, moving very slowly. I consider myself a transformer. If y'all have ever seen them, you know how they contort in order to change from one. So when I wake up in the morning, it's a process. And, or if I stay up all night and sleep during the day, and whatever time I wake up, it's still a process to try to get my body to do what I know it's supposed to do. Um, and it made me think about, well, like I said, I went to this thing and I remember telling my friend, I was like, I might have to sit down to sing. And they may be watching. This is not to come at them at all, but just it brought me to like what was randomly on my mind today. They didn't want that. And so long story short, I'm not going to do the gig. Sometimes my body doesn't even feel like being bothered. Like I literally, outside of one morning, been in the house since Saturday because I was in so much pain. I mean, icing my knee, um, TENS, which is like the electrotherapy on my back and my knee, just to try to feel better. And so a lot of extra things that I like to do. Y'all know I love karaoke. A lot of people think that I'm going to that just to go sing. But for me, it's also a way to be around family. Karaoke people have become my family. Erica, you've been to some of the events that I've had. You see how close we are. And when you aren't around a lot of people, family, friends, sometimes the only time I'm gonna get a hug is if I'm going there. But it's also sometimes so that I can eat, because standing up at a stove cooking for longer than 15 minutes, which a lot of meals take longer than that, right? Or, stovetop, I should say, can be a challenge. And there's no one offering to help. There is no one to help when it comes to that. So I've learned to deal, right? And hearing, that they didn't want that, me sitting down to sing, thank God it has not affected my voice. But I also went through losing my voice twice a couple of years ago, asthma attacks as well. Actually, that was last year, wasn't it? Everything kind of happens, if it wasn't last year, it was the year before. All this stuff kind of happens in between other things. And so it brought me to the point of caregivers in relationships, which I know you know very well. And how many people change when there's an injury. Ooh, I didn't think it was gonna hit me like this. Injury in your life. Um, it made me think about some former friends who are now divorced because one person didn't want to hang in there with the person who was injured or ill. Now, I never thought that I would ever be in this situation. No one does, right? Um, it's crazy to me now to think that a major surgery and healing from that was far more easier than the injuries I sustained when I didn't even do anything to cause them. So I just wanted to know kind of your take on like what you think when it comes to relationships. And let me just say this caveat. I don't think that going into something with someone new, if they're honest with you about whatever the illness is or the issue, like I tried to explain to this person, no, I don't have it's considered temporary disability. It's not full. Preferably will never turn into that. But it is still considered disability nonetheless, as far as paperwork, et cetera, is concerned. And like I said, I hope that I don't even get myself in trouble by talking about it, but y'all know I don't know how to not be transparent. I'm not telling you all the details of everything, but I wondered if I had somebody significant in my life, would they actually help? Would they roll or complain? And so yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit today. I'm going to get a tissue because I am tearing up. But yes, could you go ahead and talk?
I can. And again, hopefully I can be heard okay. Tracy says that tears are cleansing, friend. Okay. So just remember that. And I told her, indeed, I agree with that. I am definitely one who gives into my tears. I'm very sensitive and emotional. And it is what it is. But to speak to the question, I definitely can speak to being with someone long enough that health changes because my husband and I told you we met outside of college, and so we've been together 30 plus years, and both of our bodies have changed over the years, and we both have had some highs and lows and some health concerns along the way. Is it easier to have someone there? Sure, probably, no matter whom that person is, romantic partner, a child, a parent, a friend. It is probably easier. The Bible speaks about two being better than one in Ecclesiastes. for the simple reason that if one were to fall down, it would be easier for another to help him up. But also, I think we should not underestimate the resilience that is self. It's ironic. As an elementary school counselor, we do words of the month and SEL lessons around that, social emotional learning lessons around that. And so for April, our word is resilience. And so I actually had a lesson this morning with my first graders about resilience. So we can try to help ourselves to the best of our ability, but having help is always a great thing, right? Um, if a person, let me go this way. So my girlfriend crew, the besties, a lot of them dating, and some of them trying online dating options. And one of them, she was sharing with us that she had met a gentleman that had connected pretty well, but the more they talked, he had disclosed that he had some like serious health concerns. So not I'm not saying disability as you are saying temporary disability, but some health concerns, right? And ultimately she did not pursue a further relationship with him. And that was part of the reason, but they also were not in state. Like he was out of state too. Because you do have to consider these things though, right? So whether it's a person that you were with and something developed, you got to look within yourself, see who you are, and can you be who they need you to be, right? I'm not saying abandon a person because something happens to them that you don't, but can you be who they need you to be? Be honest about who you are. Some people may not be able to be good caregivers. And is that helping the person who is in need of care if their caregiver is a bad caregiver, right? Um, but then you could meet someone and they already are in, like you said, you're in a temporary state, but this gentleman, he could already be, he already was in like bad health. Is that something my friend should intentionally put herself into, right? Only if God calls her to. Only if God says, I need you in this person's life to get them through whatever they're going through. I would not think that a person should go into a relationship with someone who's telling you, yeah, I'm down bad and it's going to be bad, right? Um, because it's going to affect, I think, just everything else that normally you would do in a relationship, the getting to know you phase. Like last time, we talked about kind of dates you would go on. You're not going on those physical dates because they cannot handle that, right? So caregiving is tricky. Again, start with self. We have to be able to do what's good for ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, because again, I wouldn't want someone helping me that wasn't helping me well, that's making it more stressful for me or harder for me. I mean, I wouldn't want to be that person to someone else either, but this is from a self-reflection, right? Th- that can't be good for your healing process. That can't be good for your mental, right? So it can be tricky caregiving. Um, but the good news is in 2026, we have a lot more focus on caregiving, different caregiving relationships. We're learning how to better be caregivers. A lot of children are caring for their parents, even if the children are adults themselves with children, but they're caring for elderly parents. A lot of parents are caring for children. When I first started my work, I told you, out of college, straight out of college, started working in group homes for individuals with disabilities, autism specifically. And they were teenagers, they were preteens, but they were already living in a group home setting. Not because their parents didn't love them, but their parents needed them to be in a space and a place where they could get the best assistance and care, right, for their needs, the routine that they needed, whatever that case might be. So we have to be very self-aware what we can do and what we can't do, and then we can hopefully bring someone else into our caregiving process, if we're of the mindset, if we're cognizant enough to be able to make those kinds of decisions. Because again, um you don't want anyone coming that's just throwing your peace off or your patience off, right? Or whose idea of what you need is completely opposite of what you need or what you feel you need, right? So I think those are
Right.
a lot of the considerations and challenges that we have to consider and think about.
Yeah. It's crazy when you don't think that.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, you know that in life things can happen, right? I just didn't think that it would affect me to like when I ended up having an engagement in December, and immediately I was just like, I'm gonna need a stool.
Yeah.
I can't stand for a whole 30, 45 minute set. And if you know me, you know singing is like my one of my favorite pastimes. It's also a gift that God has given me. And so it affects even the things that I love. Um Walking, I used to walk what 4 to 7 times a week. I've not exercised other than physical
Yeah.
therapy since the day I got hurt in August.
Mhm.
Um which affects other things too, health wise. And just things like that. But I can't imagine marrying somebody and them leaving because of it. And like I said, I have some friends who they weren't ill before they got married, or I should say former friends, and then they did become ill. And
Mhm.
that's, the outcome. It becomes too much for some people. And
Of course.
I don't know,
Of course it is.
that
But
has to
then
be
I guess the
heartbreaking to
question
be
lends
in
itself
something like
to,
that.
did the person leave because they didn't want to stick around through the illness, or did unfortunately the illness disrupt the connection for whatever reason, right? I'm not justifying it. Please don't think that I am. But it's one thing to say, Erica, you got sick, so I'm leaving you, versus while Erica was sick, things came out of me, things came out of you, and now we don't know who each other is. And so then for you to say to me, I can't do this anymore. I mean, it's connected to the sickness, obviously, right? If the sickness hadn't happened, those things may not have come out, right? But
Right.
that is that is the risk of all relationships. And that is probably why when we stand before someone to get married, we say things like in sickness and in health. Um, but you don't anticipate it,
Sickness and
right?
health.
You say it, you agree to it, but you honestly don't expect someone to get. Now, I guess the closest example I have is when my father was diagnosed with his stage 4 lung cancer. My parents went to high school together. So even though David and I were young when we met, my parents were even younger when they met each other. So they've known each other a long time, grew up together. Their families, knew each other from their meeting and had been together and supportive for a long time. So stage 4 lung cancer, and we had to immediately start chemo and radiation. Like stage 4, we had to try to catch this thing. And my mother supported and stood by my father. She didn't like. However, I was the one that took my father to appointments, to his chemo appointments, to his radiation appointments, to doctor's appointments, because that was not something my mother could easily do. That environment, I can't recall quite why, but she just, well, one, she didn't like elevators. That's one. Like my mother would take stairs over elevators. And so to just kind of avoid being in a building where really typically you're going to take the elevators, I took it. But it was a trade off where I
Right.
was going to
Mhm.
these appointments with my father. My mother was helping me care for my children. She was taking care of things that I might have been taking care of during the time I spent with my father. She was definitely caring for my children. And to be honest, I had a newborn during a lot of this process with my father. He was diagnosed when I was pregnant
Mhm.
with my youngest. And so once that baby came, my dad still had chemo and therapy. That didn't change. So my mother was caring for my newborn.
Mhm.
when I couldn't, take him
Right.
with me. So, I mean, I just say that to say you don't anticipate it, right? But it comes, and you have to be honest about what you can do, who you can be, and prayerfully be the best person that you can be. And my mother was good. She cared for my father inside the house, the way she took care of him in the home. But she tagged me in to
Mhm.
things outside the home, you know. So, and then there was a point in which he needed shots. And because of the work that I was already doing in my group home setting and being I forget how you call it, not like medication, like I was authorized to give medications and stuff, and so
Mhm.
I was giving my father his shots. That was not something my mother could do. She wasn't trained on it. She wasn't comfortable with it, right? It was something that I had had training on and something that I was familiar with a client who needed insulin shots. So I was giving my father these shots. And I myself do not like needles. Like I give blood and I gotta look away. Like I don't want to see the needle go in. But um, so yeah, caregiving is challenging. Um, but prayerfully, in this scenario that you introduced us to and started us off with, prayerfully you will be able to find the assistance to help you navigate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Prayerfully. Um, it's just, kind of crazy. Like I said, it made me think to hear those words, I don't want you to do that, meaning I don't want you to sit and sing. I'm like, it doesn't affect my voice. But it reminded me of how people do discriminate against those who have far worse full-time disability. How many times, I mean, even in my life, I'm sure I've said something that I didn't need to say or that wasn't appropriate, or as a kid made fun of, someone something until someone,
Yes, I'm
what
sorry.
I thought
It's the
or
air,
kids thought was funny.
the
You
air.
okay? Okay. No, that's fine. Don't apologize. But that it wasn't, funny or whatever. And so it just kind of makes you think. And it's funny. What is funny though, a lot of the guys that I've met have worse illnesses than the physical things that I'm dealing with now. And like your friend, one of your best friends, I think it is a little scary. You tell me, just, I'm telling you, I really not need to write book number two because
Mhm.
one of the people had cataracts really, really bad. They were in their 50s,
Mm,
but had basically been told that they would become blind. Another one was like, I I think they had a stroke and they're like, but I'm working on it. But they couldn't drive. They weren't recovered or actually in that state recovering. Another one, heart issues. Um, it's scary to know. I don't like, I mean, yes, I've taken CPR, you know what I mean? But it just gives me pause sometimes to hear some of the things. And that doesn't mean that I didn't I have still continued or at those times talking to the person depending on what it was. But it has to be a real connection for me if I'm going to
yeah.
set myself up to be a known caregiver. Right? I think it's different when you get into it and then something
Mhm.
happens. Yeah, I would take my vows seriously. But again, to your point, to know this beforehand, like it definitely has to be God,
Yeah.
plus connection, plus a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's
You
definitely a
know,
difference, right?
yeah.
Um, Something happens and you grow through it versus, hey, jump into this with me. Like, what? But it's also it's a ministry, caregiving. It is a ministry in any relationship. But what I'm saying is
Mhm.
you have to be a certain kind of person. And so going back to my previous statement, if a person is not one who has that type of ministry within them, it will be something like a health issue that will tear people apart because their true colors come out in adversity. You're right. I mean, there are those people who they're so
Yeah.
financially minded that when your money's all gone, somehow the love they had for you is all gone because it was really about the money in the first place. That's the bottom line, right? So if my health is gone, if my beauty is gone, if I don't
Right.
physically look the way you perceived me when you saw me and felt me to be attractive, can you still be with me? I got an accident and I have a scar from the top to the bottom. Does that change anything? Right? People go through that
Right.
fire, if you will, and what's inside will come out. And so if you don't have a
Yeah.
ministry of
Very true.
care
Very, very,
within
very
you
true.
when it's needed, that'll show. So yeah.
That is true. It's it's definitely a heavy topic. Shout out to my friends, such as
Hey
yourself,
chef.
who's had to deal with caregiving. Hey, chef. Shout out to my
Hey,
friends
how
who are
y'all doing?
going through this situation now. You know, I've been better,
Yeah.
but Erica's dealing with allergies and sinuses, I should say. And I was explaining to them just the situation that recently happened. I talked about the injury at work and how that's affecting other areas of my life. And basically, we're talking about today disability, illness, and dating. And, some people have left. I know some people whose spouses have left them because they were disabled or they had a severe illness. Um, and I was saying how like I don't have any help in everything. I gone to go scope out a venue with a friend. I was supposed to be singing at an event, and basically they were like, I don't want you to do that because I might have to sit down now. I can't stand for a whole 30, 45 minute hour set because of the injuries. And how discriminatory the statement was. Not I don't think it was intentional, but it was definitely hurtful. And, do people see you different? Like I had to put the brace back on. So I'm limping. My knee has been swollen since Saturday. And for whatever reason, I don't know yet. I don't go to the doctor until a few days from now. So we were just talking about that, like getting into something with someone and then them leaving because of the illness or making a choice to be there. Erica was saying, it's a calling. I agree. Caregiving is a calling. No one wants to get hurt, but I know we've all read stories, heard stories about people who rolled out because of injuries. Did you want to weigh
Yes,
in
you.
before we
Well,
go to
well,
Oh no, 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 no. I I don't have any
here's the
background I
scenario
don't
for
know
you,
too
chef.
much
Here's the
background
scenario.
information of what we're
So you
talking.
are
I'm
with
not.
your lady. Y'all have been together for a while. Make wild whatever you want in your mind. 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20.
Yes,
You've been it.
yes,
She gets sick. Yes, your lady
yes.
is black. You
Be,
chose her. She's your lady. You
is
chose
she
her, okay?
black?
She's your lady. You chose her. She gets sick.
Okay, okay.
Now,
She's my
she
lady.
gets
Okay,
sick. Like it's
okay, okay.
affecting the
She
quality
gets sick.
of y'all's life together. You can't do the thing. I don't know. I don't know with you.
We married
I'm not sure.
a
I don't know
boyfriend
with
and
you.
girlfriend. Cause
either
that's
or? You could do both. What
Okay,
would you
it's your
do
girlfriend first.
differently?
She your
Yeah,
girlfriend. Y'all not married, but y'all been together for a minute.
I
it
mean,
could be
Y'all
either
not
or.
like 5 months in. Y'all been together for a minute. Maybe y'all are working towards marriage. Like you were gonna marry her, but she gets ill. Like, and so one, you have to take care of her, but two, the quality of your life together might not be the same. But you love her. You loved her. Like you chose her. So what's gonna happen now?
um, I'm gonna take care. I'm gonna finish taking care of, you know, I think it's a lot of variables, but who I am personally, innately, I'm gonna take care. If we've been rocking for that long, we're gonna, I'm gonna continue on rocking, and we ain't gonna sweat the small stuff. We're gonna get over it.
Amen.
We're gonna pray
Amen. You
together,
made us
and we're
smile
gonna hope
tonight.
for a
You did
speedy
well.
recovery.
Thank you.
So,
Okay,
you
but
know,
scenario two. Scenario two, you're
Yeah.
online
I mean,
looking to date and you
go ahead.
connect with someone and it looks good. And you like, yeah. So y'all talking a little bit. And then she discloses, I'm pretty ill. Like, I mean, I got some issues. I got some health concerns.
Like severe, like heart, or
Cataracts.
but I use example of heart, or blindness, cataracts. The person was like, they knew they were going to become blind. Why are you smiling? I don't understand.
Just
He
at
makes
each
me
other.
laugh, y'all, when I see him laughing. Not that we laugh at the topic, but this is like real, legit situation.
So
And of
that's
course,
scenario
sometimes they
two
tell
for
you
you.
in the
Y'all
beginning,
not been
sometimes they
rocking
don't.
like old girl before.
oh well, you know, I mean, I can be a minister. I can minister. I can pray with you, but it probably wouldn't go no further than that because I need you worrying about the wrong things. If you're sick and you need to be healed and you need recovery, you don't need to be on no dating app. You need to get your life together. You need to fix you need to heal, you need to recover. You need to be 100% before you go ahead and date somebody else that's 100%. That's just my
So
thing.
you
That's my
shouldn't find
opinion.
love because you're ill. That's what you're saying.
Fine. No, I'm not.
I'm
I'm not.
asking.
I'm saying, are you asking me what I would do in this situation?
No, this is just, well, yes, and
Merge
just
I'm
in
together.
sorry.
general.
Can I
Answer
answer
us both.
one at a time? Can you guys tell me which one you want to answer? If it's me, no, I don't care how you feel about me. I'm not doing that. I'm a minister to you. God bless you. But I know if it was the other way around, if I had no money, if I was broke, homeless, you wouldn't even talk to me. Therefore, I'm like, yeah,
Okay, we're
Lisa.
specifically
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
illness and
yeah,
disability, though.
yeah, Lisa. Lisa.
No, I'm asking.
Okay.
That homelessness is another issue, but specifically, if you were injured, say
Home.
you got injured at work or you got disabled at work and you could not do, would you not want someone to still love you? Would
Yeah,
you? Are
but
you
I mean, to what extent of love? If I'm online dating, I'm in the wrong already because I can't give somebody the full 100% of myself, right? I can't give myself 100% to anybody. It's just
Get what he's
a
saying
pen
though,
pal
Lisa. I
at this
mean,
point.
what I hear him
What can I do
saying
for you?
is prioritize yourself and your health before worrying about a relationship. If you know that you have some serious kind of health concerns going on, that's not to say that someone with health concerns does not deserve love, but what I hear him saying is, work on you and your health concerns. You all right over there, sir?
No, I just lost.
Okay. It's okay. All right, you good.
I
So
just
that
I just
that's what
got
I
off.
hear him saying. Prioritize your health.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Prioritize,
I
yeah,
get that. And I don't know that I agree
prioritize.
with it, but that's not the only thing. Because I
Yeah,
would want love regardless, especially if it's not something like my issue, my situation right now. Like I was explaining, I had major surgery in January, workplace injury in August. This all was last year. And the two things, I see you, hold on. I healed in a better, faster rate from the planned surgery than I did or am because this was August. So I feel like we almost at a year, honestly, right? Of having to deal with pain every single day. There's nothing I personally can do to change it. So I don't feel like I shouldn't not meet somebody because something happened to me
And
that
let me just
it wasn't even something I did to cause it. So I do understand where you're coming from. I just I don't know. I don't know
what's
if
the
I don't know if
rush?
disability and illness is
What's the rush?
I am
what
52 years old is the
what's
rush.
what? No, I'm asking. No, I'm not asking versus age. I'm asking versus health. If you are in the situation where you're healing, like you're in the process of get.
That's my point. I don't know. Like literally, I know someone who got a similar situation, and this could be like I'm being very honest and very real. I was crying earlier because it's really real for me. Although my desire and my prayers that I will, the reality is I might not. Like I've had to come to that realization because I've never been in physical pain for this long ever in my life. So if this is the bout, if this is, the way that life goes for me, then there's going to be times where I'm going to definitely still need some help because I can't stand. You love to cook. I use that example. Standing at a stovetop for 30 minutes is painful for me now. Doing a set, y'all love music, singing for 45 minutes in a set, can't do now. My life has drastically changed. Can't even exercise, walk for I used to do it 4 to 7 times a day. Can't do it anymore. This might become my life. And so for that person who is my friend to say, I don't want you to do that. And I said this with them, like, just so y'all know, they may see this, they may see it differently. I didn't say any names, because they don't want me to sit and sing. It hasn't affected my voice. And I know, even as a counselor, former counselor, I've seen the discrimination that happens to people
Let
who
me
are
just
disabled
let me
or
just
have had
interject here. Tracy
illnesses.
commented.
It's
We made a
real.
comment and she said amen. So it was something she agreed with. I'm not sure what that part was. But then speaking on the priority piece, she said it depends on the priority. And then she also asked the question, but why would your injury stop you from meeting someone?
They don't stop me from meeting someone, but if a friend is going to say, "Hey, I don't want you to be a part of my event no more because you got to sit and sing," then what? Even if it comes to like you look, we talk about kitten heels. Man, I can't even wear them right now. You know what I'm saying? There are preferences that guys like, right? There's certain things that I just cannot do now. And I don't know if I will be able to. I tried to put on they were block heels. Um, they were I would have probably been like 6'3", 6'4". They were pretty high. And when I tell you, literally my knee buckled, if you saw I've spoken to Tracy, the size of my knee swelling, it was scary. Not so much because of that, but because blood clots has also taken place in my family. And so I often go to like, oh my gosh, what if it's this? But I knew I was going to the doctor this week and I read, certain things. I did reach out. I didn't get a call back, which often happens. I don't know if y'all know that. Nowadays, seeing a specialist is really difficult. Like I had to wait 4 months even to see the one that I go to now 3.5 months after the injury. Um, and then let me just also say this because you weren't on initially, Jeff. Me talking about this, although I've been advised not to, that's how much it really has affected me that I needed to get it out. Like I'm not supposed to be talking about workplace injury or anything like that. Um, I haven't said specifics. I've been keeping it as general as possible. But because I've had friends, like I said, whose spouses left them because of injuries and illnesses, this is a topic that just kind of came up on my
I
heart.
so I believe that it's it's variables in it. Like so, if I'm leaving somebody because of disability, and even if they marry, so it's like maybe the person that I'm with and I'm married to has become so I can't take care of her because it's I feel like I'm always fighting. All right. I'm fighting to give her the care that she needs and she wants something else. I'm trying to do what so I mean it could be any reason why someone could the relationship was already rocky anyway. You know what I'm saying? It was already rocky and now I got to take care of a person that is bitter. Have you ever took care of somebody that is in a wheelchair that just lost his legs? I've done that. and they're not the nicest people when it first happened. Because I used to be able to walk and now I can't walk, and I see all these people walking and I want to get up and walk. So I mean that attitude, because I'm realizing that this is the life that I may live for the rest of my life then, and now another thing that's added to that is I may not have somebody to be there with me on this journey. So now I'm feeling a type of way.
I think we
I get
touched on
that.
that a little bit before you
Go ahead,
came
Erica.
on.
I'm
I
Yeah.
was
sorry. I don't want
saying,
to take too
yeah, if a person leaves someone because of an illness or injury, one or two things happen, right? Either there was some things happening before that illness and injury happened, and this just exasperated it, or that injury exposed who they really are. They weren't in it for the right reasons anyway. So we made reference to if a person is materialistic, right? And then my man loses all his money. Well, now I don't necessarily want to be with him anymore because I was really with him because of the money that he had in the first place, right? And so if a person
Money.
loses,
Right, right,
right,
right, right. You're not tied
whatever
to
it
the
was,
person. You're not tied to the person. You tied to whatever. You tied to
and
the
sometimes
agenda, or
being
the
healthy
desire
and
that
vibrant,
meets your need
like
at that moment.
that's a lifestyle that can be attractive to someone. And if you can no longer provide that, then what am I attracted to? Like that
Right,
could be what happens sometimes too.
right, right. Yeah, right. I just feel like if I'm recovering, I want to give the person the best chances to be with me, even if I'm at 80%. Even if I'm at 80%, I don't want to be online dating someone. First, I am going to tell you. I'm gonna let you know, hey, yo, I got gout. You feel me? I got the slew foot. You feel me? Like my shit be sliding when I walk. But I'm gonna tell you what's going on. So I'm not I'm not lying to you. I'm not, catfishing you, so to speak. So I just, what I mean? I want to be 100%. I don't want to be, what I mean? But I think it's different
It
between men
might
and women
be,
also. You know
but
what I'm
it's
saying? I do
also,
think it's different for
when
men and
Lisa
women.
started
Yeah,
the conversation this evening, in my head, I was going to come back with a comment, but we kind of went a little slightly different way. Getting older is crazy. Like, praise God for life. Glad to be here. Keep it coming. Thank you, Jesus. But getting older, your body, where your body responds to things, your healing process, like everything is different. So for us being older, it's very different.
right, right, right. But also, Erica, to add to that, I think getting older,
You froze, Chef.
getting I'm froze.
No, Erica
I
froze.
think getting older is, and being single is, can we honestly say that it's a result of the decisions you made when you were younger? Because if if I'm going through, we all get old. Frankie Beverly told me this when I was at his concert. He said, when you get in your 70s, you're gonna need somebody to wipe the slob off your mouth. And I started to think, like, the decisions that I make now I have to get it in order so I can have her in a situation where I'm being took care of when I get older. Because that's the result. When I get old, the results of my decisions from when I'm young is going to affect me when I get old. So if I'm not making the right decisions now and
Right.
how I'm gonna live my life, then it's going to show up when I get old. And I know
And
plenty older guys. I know plenty older guys where they're happy, they doing good, they living life, they're married, their kids are grown, they got grandbabies, they love their grandkids. I'm saying, like, so I mean, it's just everybody don't have the same deck of cards, but your decisions is you're gonna
right. So let
your
me address what
decisions.
you just said and what Tracy said too. One, she said it sounded like what I was feeling was anticipatory. No, the reason why it's different when you have anticipatory grief, that means you're grieving something that could happen. I'm talking about something that is happening. Like right now, I am not healed. I am not better right now. I'm not anticipating it not happening. I'm saying what I'm experiencing now is almost just as bad. in some areas as it was when it took place. So I'm not anticipating that I won't be healed, but I'm dealing with the reality. And I'll speak to you offline of what I was telling you, Erica, that also plays a part
Mhm.
in this. I also addressed before you got on, Chef, how you're right. With there are illnesses that I have, there are things that I have that were life choices or decisions. That's illness. This disability or temporary disability is not. And I said that I was like, this is something that happened that I didn't even call. So I'm beyond frustrated. Like I said, even for the surgery, that wasn't something that I caused. It wasn't anything I was doing that made me get that type of surgery. And I have a podcast talking about that too, very open about that as well. But this was something that didn't even have to take place. And I just happened to be the one that was injured. And now it's a cyclical effect. There's other things that are now, I go again, crying, now causing me even more grief and more pain because of something that I didn't even cause. And that's to not have support, like through that process, is really hard. So, I mean, I don't have a problem. I tell, guys that I meet, um, well, now especially because I'm not, you know, at work physically because the pain became too much. I hope to return. I don't have any say so in that right now, but I do want to be healed, able to at least walk without having to stop, you know, to get schools have a lot of it's a lot of square footage, right? You got to go from one place to another, especially in the positions that I'm in. So I want to be okay in order to do that. We'll see what happens. I still remain positive, but it's still a lot. It is a heavy weight because of something that I didn't even cause. Um, so yeah, and this one hits me differently now than it did any of hearing the stories of all my friends because of the situation. Speaking of not being able to date, and I'm not addressing the imagery. Oh yeah, no, I'm still date. Like I still date. So she was saying she was when I was speaking about not being able to date. I do still do that. Um, Meaning I'll go, but I also have received certain responses, you know. Like I said, I'm transparent, but I don't necessarily tell everything. But yeah, I'm open still, but I know people who've had uh different responses that have made me just kind of question, is this person really going to, are they really going to actually be there? And then of course it's always the ones that
I,
I don't
I,
want.
I just, I just, I
They don't
just,
want to be there.
I just think that it's hard to ask someone to be there and to support you on this journey when we just met from dating. That's a lot to ask anybody. That's if I was just me, I'm gonna tell you what that sounds like to me. If I was dating somebody and I just met them online and I had a kid, I had a toddler, and I just asked her to watch my kid for 4 hours. That's how I look at it. I look at it as equivalent to that, and I'm like, bro, I don't even know you like that. Like that's a job, that's a responsibility. And I just think that it's like I wanna okay, if I was with you before and you was healthy 100% like we rocking, you know what I'm saying? We not married, but we're talking. And something happens in between that time, then that's a little different. But for me to come in, I don't think humans that nice. I don't
You
think
know what?
I
That
don't
much?
think humans
That
are
night.
Oh,
that
that night.
nice
Give me a
to
surprise. I mean, like I said, the one, funny enough, the one that has the heart issue, like we're still cool. I'm not gonna
is he
not
gonna take care of
date
you?
him. I'm not talking about for me. He has a heart issue. So
Are you
like
gonna
my situation is if we were together and we got married, then yeah, I'm not gonna roll because of that. I'm not
you
saying
gotta
that it was
you
not
gotta
paused.
be married. You gotta be married to take care of him.
What we're if I'm in a relationship with him, if you want to just say relationship, if I
Okay,
choose to
relationship.
be whoever I choose to be in a relationship with, and if I know in the beginning that this is the situation, I'm going to think about all that stuff before I say yay or nay about being in the relationship.
Why?
It's not going to just
Because
because
what?
one, I do have my own issues and
Okay,
concerns.
but
So I'm not knocking what you're saying. It's just questions, but I'm not going to say I'm not going to. I expect for you to be whole because I realize that may not ever happen for that particular person.
okay, so
Their heart
you gotta
is
meet me.
not.
You gotta meet me where I'm at. So you can take care of me, and I can take care of you.
Yeah, but I didn't say that that couldn't be the case. You're
Yeah, yeah,
saying that you
yeah.
wouldn't get into it in the beginning. I'm saying that for me, like you, every situation is different. Now, the guy
Every
with the
situation is
cataracts,
different.
I know me. I don't like to drive myself. Like I don't. I'm thankful that I can, but I don't like to. I would much rather have someone drive me around, right? So if you're telling me that like doctors have told you that you are definitely going to become blind, that is something for me to really think about because now it's not just me helping you with like
You
getting
a
to
lifelong
appointments
partner.
done.
You a partner now.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's not something that I want for myself. But it was that in and of itself is not enough for me to be like, nah, I'm not dealing with you. Whereas for some people it is. I think it just depends on how much you one, like what Erica said earlier, if God has called you to be with this person. And I feel the same way even about mental illness. I've talked to people, we're talking about physical, but I know someone who divorced their spouse because they were bipolar. For some people, they can't handle the mental, illness or whatever. I think that this weighs also heavily on why it's so important to find out all that you need to find out about a person in the beginning. But we still need to know illness, disability are different. Now, the disability may cause illness, and if you become disabled, that you may not have been like that. I know you've read stories or heard stories of people who've gotten car accidents and now, have
Lisa,
amputations
I
or
was
can't get around.
I was hit by a train in 2014. A train. CSX. I was hit by a train in 2014. Do you imagine the disabilities and illnesses that I got from that? So I understand wholeheartedly, but again, I coming into it straight, you know what I mean? We not really dating. I'm learning you, and you telling me you about to be blind, and you could be blind. No, I don't want that. No,
No,
you can
I
be
I
cool. Like,
agree. It's a lot.
yeah, that's a
It
lot of
definitely is
like
a lot.
I'm not trying to be a caretaker right now.
I
And
feel
so,
you.
If we
hey,
married, that's cool though.
I feel
If we
you.
married, that's
I
cool.
feel the exact
That's
same way. And I think that you got
that's
to
what
be
we here
honest.
for.
I don't think some people are honest about, I don't care. I don't care if it's your toe was infected. Let me know. Because that
Toe
could lead
infected
to
is crazy.
something else
But I
too.
can hide
If
the
you ain't
toe.
taking meaning your toe was infected and now you get gangrene
now
or
your foot,
something, right?
now your
And you
foot
got to
gone.
get amputated. What I learned, because I've had
Give me
foot
a
surgery,
plastic foot.
every piece of you, every way that God created us was all meant to work together, and losing one limb, one toe, not working right, it affects you. It's crazy how much the back affects every aspect of your life. I explained to Erica in the beginning and people, I was like, I feel like a transformer every morning because I have to contort to get, you know what I'm saying, just so I could stand up straight, getting out of the bed. Like you never know how an injury would affect you. I remember one of the guys that I was dating or talking to, he was just like, yeah, you talked about, I just don't remember you talking about it this much. Well, that's the thing about pain and injury. It's unpredictable. Today I could be great. Today I'm not, but today I could be great. I don't necessarily want to be in the house all the time because I can't with the ice pack and the tens machine and just this isn't love like this. I don't like this, but sometimes I can't. I physically can't. And I remember before my mom died, she would always say, she was my largest supporter. I talk about this often. She would say, I got to see how my body feels. I never thought at 52 I would be saying the exact same thing. And so I chose not to be in my friend's event. After they didn't want me to sing and sit down and sing, I chose to renege like on the RSVP because I don't know how my body will feel on that day. I'm very strategic in what I say yes to now. I was literally thinking about I have some graduations to go to. I don't think I'm gonna be able to go if I feel like I do now. Like so if it's something I can tell you yes to later, yes or no to later, but if I have to plan it right now, um if I don't know that there's going to be a seat there that I could sit down and because sometimes sitting it long periods of time also hurts, um then I got to be able to get up or stand up sometimes against a hard surface helps or whatever. So I'm learning the things that actually aid in this process, but it definitely has made me look at situations differently from a
And it,
different perspective.
and I think it goes back to a comment I made in the beginning also before you came on, Chef. Like self-care is really important. Like we have to recognize our own ability of what we can do, and not just for ourselves, but what can I do for you too. Like I have to be honest about the care. If if a situation knowingly presents itself, I have to be honest if that's something I can be a help to or a hindrance to. Because in part of my self-care, I shouldn't want the help from you if your help is not helping me. If you're stressing me out further, if you're bringing me no peace, like I shouldn't even want that. But I have to rely and trust enough in myself to be able to make that boundary happen. As opposed to, I'm just so pressed, I'm gonna take anything. So even though you treating me bad while I'm down bad, I'm gonna
Right.
take it. So I think
Yeah.
that's key too. But it's relationships, right? Like we got to find a nice tagline about relationships because the thing is, it's almost like, we can't live with them, we can't live without them. We want them, but we don't want
I
them.
I, I think the Bible had it right. So I think I ain't get too deep, but I think the Bible had it right. You find your relationship, your best relationship when you're young. Stop playing these games. You know what I mean? Stop playing games. Find your relationship when you're young. Work it out. Get on the journey. Get married. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that it's perfect that way, but I think as the older I get, and the more I talk to people that's older than me, and I get to see it, yeah, it's best, and especially during them college era. Yeah, find the person that you're supposed to be in a relationship with right then when you're working hard right then and there. Because when you get older, it gets harder and harder to date. That's the truth.
That's a whole nother episode,
That's the
finding
truth.
them.
Yeah, that's the truth. It
Yeah.
gets harder as you get older to date because you've been in like me. I've been in a relationship like 5. Get out of that when I'm in another relationship for 5 years. So you missing out what's happening in the real world because I'm in a relationship. Everything stops for me right here, and I'm just trying to make it work right here. But
Yeah.
but
Maybe we
ha
should talk about why do we stay. But you're right. All that stuff the next time. But you can say your closing statement, Chef, with this. Please continue,
my
sir.
closing statement today is a apology to Erica and Lisa. They told me on the second episode because I'm not a phone person at all. But when you find somebody you like talking to, you'll talk to them. So I think I compromised to thank you, and I apologize. So that's my closing. I just want to say that I don't want to give too much information.
Yeah,
Just
you
just
just
take just take that. Just take my
he low
apology.
key ghosted
Don't
us.
ask no questions.
We won't ask on air.
Right. Because I'm like, what?
I can't
Not even
raise my
off.
eyebrow so I gotta like physically do it. But okay, I'll take it. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, second
That's all right
episode.
though, because we understand, and I'm not even no shade. You are younger. The more you live, the more you learn. Like just in life. Literally.
No,
Just
well,
yeah. No,
the
you ain't
problem.
talking
No,
about here.
no,
We don't
listen,
have
no,
time right
listen,
now.
listen,
We at
listen.
59 minutes.
You're right. Go ahead.
We'll talk about it. You
All
can,
right.
if you want to bring that up as the next topic, we can talk about it. It's up to you.
See y'all next month.
Next month.
This month
Is
already
it
over.
already?
If you blink, this month is
I mean, a little
these
It
bit.
just
this this
started.
Okay,
this
It
year
just
Erica,
has
what
been
started.
about
going by so
you?
fast.
My closing remark is, relationships can be tricky, but again, I stick with God created us for relationships, and so we intrinsically look for them, right? Whether they're platonic relationships, familiar relationships, love relationships, period, right? Relationships. But caregiving is a tricky relationship because it does require a lot more skill and grit from the caregiver. And so search within yourself, that you can be that person for someone if need be, but also search within yourself what your needs are so that hopefully they can align more, because it's rough being sick. Like, just this is allergies right here. And it's rough. I can't breathe. I'm coughing, right? So just imagine trying to just move through life with that roughness in your everyday life. That's hard, right? So we don't want to make it rougher than it needs to be. So you want to make caregiving and self-care, as easy as possible for yourself and others, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you all for sharing. I probably need to apologize in advance just in case my um people who've instructed me not to talk about this. Sometimes I got to get stuff off my chest. And as you can see from the tears, this has been definitely a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster for me. I'm thankful that I'm not as bad in some areas of my body that I was. And I am believing that everything will be, you know, better. Um, so yeah, just I agree with a lot that's been said. I know we have a long way to go, like just in general, um, with relationships and the process. And again, I'm sorry to those of you who I know who've lost relationships because of a disability or illness. I can't imagine how hard that was. I'm not even talking about relationships, I'm talking about marriages specifically. And for whatever reason, the words and the vows change things in your marriage. And I do pray, I want everybody to find love. I love love. And I am learning. I'm going to say this. I did something great for myself this past, well, not too long ago. It's in the last 2 weeks, and literally deleted people from my past. Like, I'm not, I said in 2026, I wasn't chasing anybody that doesn't want to be in my life. And I have learned a lot. You learn a lot when you are experiencing trials, whether they're illness, disability, whatever. And I've seen who's checked on me. I've seen who doesn't care. And I'm proud of myself for growing in areas that I didn't even know I needed to. And so I am purging, I am healing emotionally, mentally, physically, and I'm excited to see what God does. In 2026, the rest of it has to be better than how it started. So I hope that everybody that's watching, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, iHeart. Um, you know, there are a lot of people that are dealing with similar situations. And I'm always going to be as transparent as possible because I do believe, like the word of God says, they overcame from the blood of their lamb and the word of their testimony. So the blood of the lamb is Jesus Christ, and he heals. He died so that we could be healed. We just celebrated resurrection not too long ago. And also the word of our testimony. So sometimes you got to not be afraid to share your testimony so other people can be healed as well. So thank you all so much for joining us. And we will see you next time. Lisa One Singing, Lady Gilliam out.
Erica out.
That would be from Chef. Bye, y'all.